to my studio. I'm Ambah and I design patterns for knitters. Today I have a tutorial to share with you for the Heart of Yarn earrings and accessories. These little hearts are really fun to knit and a perfect way to use up yarn scraps and a quick knit gift for people. They are essentially an I-cord tube. I insert wire, join them together and then make earrings, brooch. This brooch can pin on, hair clip, just sewing on a little clip back onto that for a cute hair clip. And I've made plenty for myself so I can mix and match. Sometimes a matched pair, or I quite like wearing an asymmetrical set. They're really fun and, as I said, a really great gift. Today's tutorial is chapterized, so you can just skip ahead to the part that you want to see. I love to see your finished projects. If you share with hashtag Ambah O'Brien, I'll be able to find them, and hashtag Heart of Yarn. Also share on Ravelry and I'll look for your projects there too. We'll begin by gathering materials and supplies for the project. You'll need a few different things to create these hearts, and depending on the accessories that you want to make. Begin with knitting I-cord. You'll use fingering weight yarn and knitting needles. I used circular needles. You'll need a short cable length, and you could also use DPNs, double pointed needles. Make our I-cord lengths. To create the firm heart shape, I used wire, craft wire, around 1 millimetre thick and firm enough to hold its shape. Get a ruler to measure it with, and you'll need the ruler to measure the I-cord too. And something to cut the wire with, some wire snips. These also double as a little jewellery tool that I can use for the hooks as well. Then you'll need a darning needle to even the ends, and any of the accessories that you want to make. So if you want to make hair clips, you'll need clips to sew on. You can get fun colourful ones or plain. I chose a colour to match my hair so it would disappear a bit when I clip it on. And needle and thread to sew those on with. The brooch also has a brooch back, just a standard one you can get from a craft shop, that is sewn on. And for the earrings, you'll need hooks, or you might prefer hoops. These have a nice big round part to them, so they're easy to connect. If you have a smaller connection there, you may need a larger jump ring to thread through the heart. To join the wire at the bottom of the heart, I found a hot glue gun was the easiest and most effective method. So I dab a little bit of glue at the bottom at the join, which I'll show you later in the video. And that was a really nice result. You could use a wire tool to twist the end there if you don't have a hot glue gun or some other kind of glue. We'll cast on 5 stitches. I'm using my go-to long tail cast on here. Any cast on is fine. I do have a tutorial for this particular cast on if you're looking to learn how to do it. Then I slide the stitches to the end of the needle so that the yarn is pulling across the back of those 5 stitches. And when I knit the first stitch, it's pulling from the last stitch. This will help create the I-cord tube. So make sure I knit that first stitch quite firmly. and knit across for 5 stitches. Then every row I will slide the stitches to the other end of the needle and pull the yarn across from the back and knit the 5 stitches, knitting that first stitch quite firmly each time. So again, I'm fast forwarding a bit here. I don't knit that fast, unfortunately. Just in order to show you a few times that method of knitting an I-cord. It seems a little awkward at first, but it becomes quite fast once you've knit a few rows. The gauge needs to be fairly firm. If you're a loose knitter, you'll need much smaller needles. You want to have this nice, firm, even stitched I-cord. And if you're a newer knitter, you might need to practice a little bit before your I-cords are looking nice and neat. I found initially I knit with a larger set of needles and it was just too loose. It didn't look very neat. So I went down a couple of needle sizes and was much happier. Measure it out. I made my I-cord lengths 15 centimetres or 6 inches long, and then just used a regular bind off to bind off those 5 stitches. You'll need a little tail at each end of a few inches or 5 or so centimetres, and that will help you join the ends of the heart and keep things neat. So you'll need a bit of yarn to be able to do that with. And that's step 1. I found I ended up making a little pile of the I-cords, just made those first and then went on to the next step. So I kind of did everything in batches. The next step is creating the shape with wire. So you'll start by cutting a length of wire. I made mine just a little bit longer than the I-cord. So the I-cord lengths that I was working with was 15 centimetres or 6 inches, and I just cut the I-cord a little bit longer, 1/4 of an inch or 1/2 a centimetre, just a little bit to give room to twist it and join it together at the end. So measure it out, cut lengths of wire. Again, I did this in a batch and cut a little pile of them. Although it was good to make one first and make sure everything worked with the lengths and that I was happy with the size of the heart. So it could be good to have a practice one. Then stuffing the wire through the hollow of the I-cord is a little bit fiddly. You just need to wriggle it around and you'll feel it. You'll feel if it's sliding through easily, and if it's not, or if it's poking out the side, just back it up a little bit and go again. Just slowly work the wire through the hollow of the I-cord to the other end. Then bring the 2 ends of the wire together and fold it in half. Quite firmly squish it. That will form the top centre of the love heart there. Then using your thumbs, just create that curved part of the love heart. The wire is forgiving. If you don't like the shape, you can kind of rework it. Do the approximate shape, and then you can work it a bit more once you've glued it as well. So bring the ends together and hold it in place. And then add that dab of hot glue to join it together. Again, I did this part in batches as well. I'd already threaded the wire through all the hearts. And don't need to hold it for too long for that to set. You could use other glue. You probably have to hold it for longer, but you could maybe have a clip to hold it for you. And that's going to be the point, the bottom point of the love heart. There, didn't take very long. And to finish it off, it will be about weaving in the ends and joining the two ends together. So take the darning needle, snip my ends a little bit. And pull across and just sew through between each end stitches, firmly joining it together and using the yarn to blend the knitting so it's not too obviously a join there. It's a little bit fiddly, but worth it, I think. And once you've done a few, it becomes quite fast. Such a fun way to use up really tiny little leftovers of yarn as well. Poke the last bit through the I-cord to finish it off. And then use the other yarn end to close up the other side of the heart. And done. At this point you could squish it around a little bit more to get the shape that you're happiest with. And I've set this to fast forward so I can show you again quickly. Threading the wire through the I-cord, just feeling it out, going slowly and surely, and folding it in half, ends meeting, bringing it around, shaping the curve of the heart. And before joining it with this one, I want to connect it for a dangly pair of earrings. So if you're wanting to have multiple hearts joined together in a little heart chain, you'll need to glue them together in this way so that they can be joined. A glob of glue. Hold it for a moment or two while it sets. and repeat that end joining, weaving in process to finish off the heart. And then for the 3 stack earrings, I do this again, add a third heart in there. Again, I'm fast forwarding this so that you can just watch it quickly. To make earrings, simply thread hooks or hoops onto the hearts, and that's it. So simple. As I said, the big loop on these particular hooks made it quite simple to thread through. If you have a smaller loop, you might need to add a connecting jump ring first. So with the hoops, I feel for the wire and I want to thread it through underneath the wire just so that there's strength there, it's not pulling on stitches. And that's it for the hoops, very simple. With the hooks, I decided to thread it through the curved part of the heart. And again, feel for the wire. Want to thread the hook through just underneath the wire so that it's strong and not pulling on stitches. And didn't quite like that position, so I moved it along a little bit and close up the loop with my tool. And earrings, easy. The hearts can be moved around a little bit. As you can see, they're just loose, forming a little chain. Look, more. I think I need to make a couple of more single heart earrings. Playing with how they can be mixed and matched. For the hair clip, I sewed on the clip, just regular clips that I have for my hair. As I mentioned, I chose one that's close to my hair colour so that the clip part's less visible when it's in my hair. But you could put it in your hair with a bobby pin. Whatever you prefer to use in your hair works. Started by sewing a few stitches first to get it kind of firmly on the heart part, and then start sewing through a convenient hole at the end of the hair clip. Oops. Don't get tangled. More tangly than yarn. And just sew through that a few times so it's nice and firm. Tie it off. and then sew up the other end. A bit fiddly, but worth sewing it on firmly so that the clip can withstand the opening and closing needed to be able to put it in your hair. Tie it off. And done. And sew on the brooch back, which is quite similar. I chose quite a small one because I wanted it to be hidden and not seen from the right side of the brooch. Tried a few spots, but in the end figured out it would sit quite nicely there at the top, which is a handy place for pinning it on anyway. Again, needle and thread, lighter colour this time, and sew on the brooch back. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial today. See you next time.